Tonight on Netflix Picks, we are talking about Follow This, Year One, and Gossip Girl? Come on with us.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at AfterBuzz TV's Netflix Picks show. Yes, I just looked at the screen.
That happens on what day?
That happens on Sunday. This is super on the nose. I'm Steve Kaufman. I'm here, minus Rick Hong, with Amy Cassandra Martinez.
Hi, that is me. I'm here.
And Ashley Cheney. I stuttered slightly. My brain is working slowly. It is Sunday.
Yay, Sunday.
And this is where we talk about all things Netflix. Mm-hmm. What you watching, what aren't you watching, what don't you like, what kind of news is going down. And let's jump right on in to some Netflix originals. We had some come up. And the other side of the table seems to have watched Follow This.
Mm-hmm. We did watch Follow This. Indeed.
Oh, is this a bit we're doing?
It's not a bit, it's a whole thing about ASMR.
Oh.
Yeah, so really, it's tricky. It was freaking me out. So Follow This. What'd you think, Amy? We both watched it.
Well, okay, so it was interesting because it popped up on my phone. I was like, hey,
Same.
you should watch this. And I was like,
The email?
okay.
Did you get the email?
I don't know if I got the email. I just got the push notification. I was like, okay, all right, Netflix, let's see what you got. So, yeah, super short. Well, like 17 minutes or so.
Was that it? It did go by quickly, but it was so
Yeah.
interesting that I was very intrigued the whole time.
Yeah, and so it helps you understand different topics. This one was about ASMR, which I forgot what it stands for, but it's when people talk like this.
It's like audio stimulation, whatever. But it's the whole premise of the series is that they follow a BuzzFeed reporter on different topics. Episode 1 happened to be ASMR, which is not just whispering, but it did take us into this crazy world of ASMR, which if you're here on YouTube and then maybe some of you know about ASMR, if you do, please hit us up in the chat.
Oh,
and
yeah.
are we tweaking your ASMRs?
Shout out to the podcast listeners.
Yeah, shout out. And podcast listeners, if you hear us, let us know if this is working for you. It was a creepy little foray into the world of ASMR.
What I'd like to know is there an ASMR podcast?
Oh my God,
Should
there
we-
are bazillion.
Are
Yes,
there? Okay, so we can.
There are people that are involved on YouTube that's what they solely do.
that is what they do.
Wow.
And they
Kudos
make
to them.
bank because they get,
Oh my God, I know.
They have billions of views, literally
Okay.
billions. So for certain people who are like, who are whatever that word is that we can't
ASMR,
remember,
yeah.
it's like they have physical. Do you get it?
No.
I don't. I was like,
Okay.
come on, I want to hear.
Oh, yeah.
They get like physical. They call them mindgasms. Like their brain feels like it's tingling, and and it's like kind of this weird, almost sexual line.
But it's not always.
Okay, and this is
like,
episode
can-
1 of a series that
Yes.
follows stuff like ASMR.
Stuff
Stuff
like
like-
ASMR, yeah.
Okay.
Things that are pop culturally or like phenomenons of the time, and ASMR is very noteworthy right now. I think it's definitely. They said within the last year, it's grown from like 5 million views it's like tripled in views in the past
Okay.
year.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the thing is that I feel like a lot of us might know a little bit about it, but this really gives you the full details that you need to know and really opens your eyes and makes me think like, wow, I didn't know about that. I would like to try and really expand my mind and I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's
And-
interesting.
As hosts, like and semi-reporters, it was so cool to see like, oh, this is how BuzzFeed works. It was just neat.
Yeah.
Is it week to week like is it week to week like explained, or is it they dumped them all?
They had
They dumped them all? Okay.
Yeah, no, you don't have to wait. Are you saying you have to wait each week for it to drop?
Yeah, like
No,
explained does.
They're all out there.
Because the Vox one that I've talked about, that I think this week is on the female orgasm. I haven't
Oh.
watched it yet, but that's the Vox
Interesting.
explained that they go every Wednesday. They drop another like 30 or so minute thing, whereas this seems more about a behind the scenes investigation through the guise of a personality, which is very much how BuzzFeed does things. Like BuzzFeed is less about the tags and more about the person exploring the tags.
Yeah, and it's interesting to go through that journey with someone who most of the time doesn't seem to know too much about the subject because it's very relatable. Because like, I think Amy and I could both we didn't really know much about that world.
Oh yeah, I mean, and sometimes people like stereotype ASMR as a little bit like, "Hey, how you doing?" But it's not.
It's not always. It doesn't
It's
sound like
not-
something.
Yeah.
You can't have that many views and be at all sexual. Like that many views across that. Well, but like
You fight.
I can't speak to it. It might be.
Why do you
super,
think exercise videos do so well? I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm
Well,
kidding.
because people want to be fit.
That's right.
That's
So,
why.
Ashley, you've seen House of Flowers.
Yes.
Let's talk about House of Flowers.
This was awesome, you guys. This was a total random. I was scrolling through and picked this show. Knew nothing about it, and immediately within the first, 5 seconds of the show, I'm like, oh, it's in Spanish and there's subtitles, but it's not. And it is. It's definitely feels like a telenovela. It's about this. House of Flowers. It's like a florist business, and it follows the very dramatic lives of this family that runs a flower business. But you know what it feels like? It feels reminiscent of Desperate Housewives, and it was fun. Like I used to like that show. It was fun. But anyway, there's like some parts that have subtitles, but for the most part, it seems to be English dubbing, or a couple people are actually speaking English. I'm trying to either the lip sync is really off, or I can't quite tell, but. It's awesome. It's like a good cheesy kind of telenovela. It was a gem.
How many episodes?
There are.
Oh, sorry.
It's a great question, but episode 1 was great. I'll find out for you guys in just a sec.
How long was it? Did it feel?
30 minutes. And
okay.
It was awesome. It was fun and funny.
Are you likely to see more of it?
Yeah, I would definitely put it on in the background for like a. It's not. You don't have to be real invested in it. It's the same. I'm not like hanging on the edge of my seat, but it was in the same way that Desperate Housewives was really. You could kind of tune in and out and just. Desperate Housewives is probably a bit more. You'd want to see the next episode, but this was cute. It would feel like a light comedy space. They call it a dark comedy. Like someone dies. Someone dies within the first 5 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
I love it.
It's
13?
13 episodes.
13 30-minute episodes. That's completely doable.
That's a very fun,
and
easy
they're
watch,
kind of quippy and funny. And I love that it's like fulfilling some of the Latin market needs and wants. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of dark comedies, I watched a comedy special by a gentleman by the name of Bert Kreischer.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's called Bert Kreischer's Secret Time.
Yeah.
And he is a Philly dude that I've never heard of before. I've never heard of Bert before this.
I've never.
He's
heard
a
of
Travel
him.
Channel host.
Is he a Travel Channel host?
He is. Well, he's a comedian, but he also hosts a show on Travel Channel. Yeah.
Oh, his special does not lead me to believe that
That he would be on Travel Channel.
that anyone would would hire him outside the comedy world, and that's not a diss. That's a high mark of praise from me.
I can see why you could say that. I knew Bert Kreischer.
Oh.
Like Bert Kreischer because, by the way, I auditioned for him when I was auditioning for the Travel Channel.
Oh, wow.
Small side note. So hey, Bert, how you doing? Like ya. But this stand-up was so vulgar for me that I had to turn it off in the first 3 minutes. Like, my boyfriend was like, "This is gross," and we had to turn it off after literally 3 minutes.
On occasion, I prefer that kind of humor. He makes it pretty clear in the opening moments of the show that that's what you're in for.
Yeah.
And I appreciate someone who's as promised and like really just goes for it.
Yeah.
As an onstage character.
Totally.
He takes his shirt off the second he walks out.
I was gonna ask.
That
All right.
That's the bit. I really enjoyed him. I also discovered something fun, and this might come off as mean to the creator, but hear me out. If it's someone's comedy special, if you're on an iPhone, you can load it up, hit play, lock your screen, it'll stop, but then unlock your screen and hit play again, and you'll just get the audio. So for something like a podcast special, for those of us who go to the gym, or podcast special, for something like a comedy special that you can use in the similar vein to a podcast, this is a nice little fun trick. I hope works for everyone.
Oh, cool.
That I'm sharing, but he had a lot of really fun bits, including because he's a father of 2. Mm-hmm. And I think the fun bit I can kind of spoil here is that he's all his kids are hanging out with other kids, and one of the kids comes back and says, "So-and-so said the N-word." And they're like, "Wait, what?" And then the reveal is that they think the N-word is nerd.
Oh.
Because they're so innocent.
That's so sweet. That's very sweet.
But coming from a very outspoken, I would say R-rated comedian, that bit is really rough. And then he's like, but from the innocence of his children, it's like, no, the teacher says you can say it if you identify as it. It's like, oh no, whoa. And then they're like, The N-word's nerd. What do you think the N-word is, Daddy? Nerd. N-word is nerd.
That's what it means.
That's what it means.
His
Interesting.
another one of his shticks is taking his shirt off.
Yes.
So that's very much his, like, he did this whole series with somebody where they took their shirts off and did this like weight loss challenge thing. So he's got you actually would probably would be down for him. He's done a bunch of podcasts. He's a really interesting guy and I like him, but I'm not really easily offended, but for some reason I just couldn't. And it just kind of takes a lot for me to get offended and
I don't. I think
this one.
as a performance, I found it. To be offended would mean you would have to take the person seriously. You would have to take the on-screen character seriously. And from moment one, you're like, oh, this is just a good, like, if Larry the Cable Guy said something, you wouldn't take it seriously.
Yeah,
that's kind of
gross.
I equated it the same way.
Yeah.
So that anything that could have been offensive, like if Louis C.K. said it, Louis C.K.'s on-stage persona is essentially just him.
Yeah.
Whereas this guy clearly has an on-stage persona that's a amped-up version of him that I was able to get past whatever.
Yeah.
I'm also a white dude, so very few people are coming after me. Like, there's very few bits that would offend. Like,
not so much offensive. It was just like, ew, that's gross. I don't want to hear that.
fair.
That does not sound like something I would like to watch. But I'm kind of curious.
But those of you who like the kind of humor, who have been watching this show for a long time, know what kind of humor I fall into, and even I'm warning you that this is a little much. Comparatively, like there are other like comedy specials I'll recommend to you that are a little more forward, a little more like this is a one-person show, this is for everyone. Like I understand this kind of a niche thing, but I highly recommend it to anyone who likes South Park.
Oh, okay, good.
That's
good.
a perfect or Family Guy.
niche.
If you like Family Guy and South Park, you will love this comedy special.
Okay.
Well, I'm in the chat right now
Yes.
as well. Star Drew said the whole stick for Ace Ventura Pet Detective. Apparently, there was something about that.
Oh, he did have a pretty
Yeah.
was
Was
funny?
that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's very funny guy.
Maybe I just didn't give it long enough.
I don't know. I think I do agree. He came on super strong in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
As a litmus test, that
if you
as
can't
a
hang,
like
yeah.
if you to a point of like I'm putting all this up top because if you can't hang with these 5 minutes, I don't want you to pick on me for minute 58, where it's like, homie.
All right.
Fair enough. That makes sense.
Speaking
Sorry.
of minute 58, we do a lot of great stuff here at AfterBuzz TV, and I think
We do, you guys. Our network produces after shows for nearly all of your favorite TV shows, from dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and so much more. There is no network that works harder to serve television fans than us. But now we need your help. We are asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. We have a couple. By subscribing to our YouTube channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about those pesky notifications, don't be. They are 100% optional. You don't have to have them on. So hit that subscribe button right now, wherever it is on your computer, down there somewhere. Hit it, and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channels. We have a couple. You guys on any other channels?
oh, I'm on all the channels.
You're on all the channels?
Every single one.
AfterBuzz TV, wrestling and sports. I'm pretty prevalent over there.
Wrestling and sports.
There's a superhero, sci-fi, and fantasy sci-fi superheroes.
And I hang out over on the reality TV competition one myself. So between one of those, subscribe to one of our channels, okay? We would really appreciate it. And let us know that you did so in the comments, and we'll be sure to give you a shout out on air. But for now, thank you so much for being the very best fans that are out there and for helping us to be the ESPN of TV talk. We love you.
Great news.
Great news.
That live read was great news.
Oh, nice.
And that's my
I see-
segue.
I see what you're doing.
Been here a while, y'all.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, we what is this? This is classified under a non-Netflix.
Which I should.
But it's not true. It's
Okay.
Netflix, is it?
It's sometimes stuff gets made and then Netflix buys it. I think this classifies. So this would classify. Don't read too much into the poster that says Netflix. If they bought it,
yeah,
if they bought the rights to it, they're gonna put their name on it.
True
So
that.
is this a television series?
It is, and it is not produced by Netflix.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, the poster threw me off, but yes. So it was one of those things where, kind of like you with House of Flowers, that I was just kind of looking for something that wasn't produced by Netflix and something that I hadn't already seen, obviously. And this just kind of popped up, and I was like, all right, so. It's actually really cute.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's a nice little surprise when you find something that is great. And it's great news. Oh, okay, I tried. It's okay. So it's about this young woman, and she is not necessarily a pushover, but she doesn't really go for her dreams and her goals. And her mom really pushes her forward in a nice, like, healthy way. And so she works at a TV station, and she's a segment producer, and she's trying to, like, evolve in that role, and she's been there for a while, and her mom ends up getting an internship position there because one of their friends passed away. And it kind of just hit them like, wow, we should really go for our dreams. So the daughter's dreams is to really, push herself to be that segment producer that she knows she can be with the lead story of the night. And then the mom pushes herself to go for her dreams of working in TV. So it's actually really cute, and it's nice to see. I mean, because some of us have worked in the TV business, so it's nice to see what other people produce that's related to TV, and it always gives you a different outlook on things, and different stations and stuff. But it's really nice, super easy watch, maybe like half hour. But yeah, definitely recommend. It's very easy to watch. And
are there any actors that we recognize? I can tell. I can try to look at the cover image here, and I can't tell. Do we recognize those actors?
Okay, so I recognize.
I remember the gentleman.
It's executive produced by Tina Fey.
Okay.
Oh, well, that's a start.
Is it a 3-camera sitcom? It sounds.
I mean, I guess. Oh, yeah, Nicole Richie is also in it.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting because I don't think I've ever seen her in anything. I didn't even watch, what was it, the Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton thing?
Simple
Life.
Simple Life.
Life. Yeah, there is, okay, so the mom, her name is Carol. She was totally in My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Okay.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Yes.
So definitely recognizable cast, creators.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm surprised I haven't heard more about this
Me either, yeah.
show, actually.
Oh, John Michael Higgins is also someone that you might recognize.
Yeah, he's from In the Middle. The
In the
right?
Middle?
No, The Middle? The show The Middle?
I don't remember him being that.
Is he not
Probably.
He was in Pitch Perfect, though.
Okay.
With,
Well, yeah, he's the
I'm
announcer.
sorry. I'm confusing the two. Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's
yeah.
really good. A lot of familiar faces, so definitely recommend
Nice.
this one.
Good find.
Yeah.
I don't have a great find, guys.
Oh, no.
What happened? What happened?
So this has the dubious honor of being Harold Ramis's last film.
Oh.
It's year one. It's with Jack Black, not Zach Black. It's Jack Black
Oh, no.
and Michael Cera.
Sarah. Oh.
They're-
Just
it's
that
a hunt.
poster.
It's a hunter and a gatherer, teaming with some of the best comedians of the time, including Harold Ramis. But there seems to have been a disconnect between the performers and the writers and the directors and the writing, and it was very, very frustrating to watch. It did come out on Netflix this week. That's why it popped up on my feed, and so it's a non-Netflix release. It's upsetting because there are so many great people in this film. Didn't do it.
Didn't work.
I know it's Netflix picks, but sometimes you just have to throw it out there. It's like if this pops up in your feed,
Don't do it.
there's better funny things. Also, we'll talk later about stuff upcoming. I know by the end of September, probably September 20th or so, you will be getting Scott Pilgrim vs. the World
Hey.
in Netflix. So wait for that if you want
Michael Cera.
some prime Michael Cera, which I've heard a meme and I kind of believe it that one day Michael Cera just wandered onto a set and no one and he's just so cool and nice. And everyone was afraid to tell him that he was in the wrong spot, and that's how his career started.
I kind of like that.
I believe that about
story.
Michael
Yeah.
Cera, that he's just, hey, I'm just kind of here on the set of Arrested Development, and now I'm in Arrested Development, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's so cute.
I need to
Well,
work on my
Scott-
Michael Cera.
Scott Pilgrim is pretty good, so I'm curious to see what else, if they're going to throw in other Michael Cera movies that are better than year one.
Yeah, and
Hopefully.
I also think, and I have a crazy tinfoil hat theory, that they like to put stuff like that on Netflix to kind of influx stuff with stars. So if they know they're going to pay a lot of money for Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, they'll probably pay a little money for stuff like year one, so that if you like Michael Cera, you'll come back. Similar to, I think Nacho Libre is coming out on Netflix this September. So similarly, we got to get more Jack Black stuff in Netflix.
I think there is definitely something to amping up either by actor or by somehow
Actor,
relating
creator,
films.
genre,
Yeah.
like I'm sure there are a lot of algorithms like that specifically tell them what they should have
they
and
drop
for
it.
how long.
Totally, there must be.
Going back to, what was I talking about? Great news. Star Drew, you guys are really chatting with us, so continue doing that. Star Drew said Newsroom. Newsroom was
Oh,
another.
I love the Newsroom.
Newsroom was fantastic.
I haven't caught up.
Newsroom.
Get
But
there.
that's not on Netflix. So, yes. And Just Shoot Me.
Just Shoot Me was wonderful.
That's
That
another great
was good.
newsroom comedy.
And now Star Drew and Coffee Time both watched Year One. Coffee Time. Yeah. Year One was hilarious.
You've got some
All right.
contenders.
So, hey.
I'm just reporting what I see. There's a lot of, and I will say there are a lot of good bits in the film, but the film as a whole was not very good. Also, I love the Happy Time Murders. I have to put that out every time.
Oh, wow.
okay.
I saw it Thursday night, thought it was amazing. Was shocked to hear everyone Friday morning talk about how it was the worst movie ever.
Yeah, I'm hearing so much heat on that one.
Like, in a disproportionate amount of heat for Happy Time Murders.
Well.
Anything else going down in the chat, anyone?
Well, Star Drew started talking about watching Never Ending Story 3 over Year One, which I didn't know are there 3?
I would hope if Star Drew said it, it feels like there's 3.
Okay,
I think
we believe
there
you
must
then.
be, yeah. But
I only
that's
remember
a stretch,
one.
because if we only know that there's one, then that's
Yeah.
not saying much for Year One.
But yes, Coffee Time. They're having a little chat in
Good
the
for them.
chat about saying no.
Well,
don't watch
you
the
could say that
Never-Ending
they're
Story.
gossiping in the chat.
Ooh, okay. Yes,
So-
you could say that.
You're here to talk about Gossip Girl.
Yes, I am.
How far along are you? And are you rewatching or are you watching for the first time?
Okay, so I think I talked about this a few weeks ago that I had stopped watching it for a while. But this was all my first time watching it, so I'd never seen it. And I don't know, like 4th season.
Okay.
So since then, I have now finished it, and I am so lost.
Oh, boy.
But don't worry, not that lost because I found something else. But yeah, it's just one of those things where, I don't know if you guys do this, where you'll start watching a show and you're like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. And then you just kind of phase out of it for a second. Then you'll watch something else. And then you'll go back to this. And then it's just like having all these, it's like a buffet.
A little Netflix snack buffet.
Yeah. And so then it's nice to be able to come back and then finish it. And you're like, wow, this is great. Give me some more of that. I want that. But yeah, so if you guys also want more of us, if you can't get enough of watching us, you can also listen to us, which that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that checks out.
We're on iTunes, so make sure that you guys give us 5 stars. I love that.
Yeah.
5 stars. Yes, because it really helps us out, and you can always comment there as well. And if you do so, we will give you a shout out on the show. Right. So yeah, and also leave your Netflix recommendations. I know I posted on my Insta stories asking what people were watching, and woo, you guys are watching a lot of different things, and it's always nice to get to see like, oh yeah, this one person recommends this or this. So this is what we're here for as well.
Or if you get a lot of people saying the same thing, you can usually trust like, oh, a lot of people are really into this. I'll check it out.
Yeah, as they said about Elvis, I think it was 100 million people can't be wrong. Don't quote me on the number, but the X amount of people can't be wrong is what they said about Elvis at one point.
Interesting.
I mean, I love Elvis.
I love Elvis too.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what else isn't? Do you want to know who else is universally loved?
Tell us, dude.
Barack Obama.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Let's just go with it.
I love him.
Good say. I think subjectively on paper you can say that he was a good man, good president.
He was a great. What subjectively? I
wait.
got no beef.
Yeah, no beef here.
beef.
I'm here to talk about Barry. This is a 2016 film that was at the Toronto Film Festival that had often been spoken of on Netflix, and I had never really sought it out. It felt like something you had to seek out, but I finally sought it out. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of all over the place. It's specifically emo, all over the place, philosophical, college freshman Barack Obama.
And it's not like a documentary.
It's a feature scripted film.
Okay. Now, when I saw that you were going to talk about Barry, I definitely was thinking about the comedy with Homeboy from SNL.
Bill Hader.
Yeah.
Oh, on HBO. I agree. That's also very good. That's not the right show.
So this is a flip, and I'm excited about it. So is it true to life though, or is it just fictionalized? Or?
I've yet to Google how true to life it is, but it felt true to our world and the world and to the man who became president.
Okay.
So
That's nice.
which is honestly better than most films about a real story.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know. I meant to Google specifically because there's a lot of racial tension. Like the film starts out with him going to New York so he can attend a university, and then he couldn't actually get into his dorm room or not his dorm room, but the apartment he had with another person who happened to be a white dude. So he hung out on the campus where he was, and then a security guard literally hassled him and said, "Show me your ID."
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, orientation's tomorrow. I don't have an ID.
Yeah. Oh.
And then was kicked off of the campus to the place he had orientation at the next day.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And that's kind of where the film starts. And it's like this very skittish man of the world, but 18 and kind of aimless and like listless and like that kind of understandable and relatable thing of just being 18 and privileged enough to go to college.
Yeah.
And whereas being privileged enough to go to college means you have so many more options than people before you, which
Yeah.
means you kind of really have to mull on all those options. And I think he really deals with that. He also deals with race in America. He dates a white girl, a very affluent white girl, and he has to deal with a lot of that.
Well, I know what I'll be Googling this evening.
Yes. I've been meaning to Google the factual nature of this film, but I wanted to enjoy it as a film first. I really enjoyed this with a film. Also, I've seen the trailer for South Side with Love. I want to watch that too.
Okay, cool.
So this was about him and a white girl named Charlotte. Later, it'll be about him and the Queen.
Okay.
Him and the first lady, whose name was escaping me. That I was
Michelle
trying. Michelle
Obama.
Obama. I thought Michelle twice.
Queen. Okay, I was like Beyonce. Now I'm with you.
There's
Okay.
so many queens.
There are a lot of queens
Michelle
in that
Obama.
circle.
Love it.
So it's time to get to some news.
News.
Yay.
What's happening in Netflix news?
Off Tops, Netflix this week released a video promotion. They're testing it in some markets, some areas, to pretty much advertise other stuff that's on Netflix in between shows that you're watching that are on Netflix, and people are not happy.
Much like HBO does.
Yes.
HBO does that before every show that you watch. There's like a trailer for their other HBO shows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like commercials or anything resembling commercials.
It's
No,
not
thank
a
you.
paid ad. It's at most a 30-second spot for another thing on Netflix that I'm sure they know their algorithm enough to know that it will be tailor-made for you.
No.
No?
If you're stopping me from watching what I'm already watching, no.
Fair. I think fair. If it's 30 seconds, I'd agree. If it were 10 seconds, I'd be like, whatever.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's frustrating, but like I've come to accept it with HBO. I'm sure I would unfortunately come to accept it with Netflix too.
Same thing for YouTube, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are people screaming that this is a slippery slope to them just selling ads.
Nah.
Guys, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, they can't.
They're not Hulu. Tiffany Haddish just got a stand-up special.
Yeah.
Excited for her.
Yeah, she's funny.
Yeah.
I'd watch it. I'll definitely watch it.
I'm excited for that. We'll talk about that when it goes down. This one was a very interesting one. It's from the Motley Fool that Netflix doesn't want to pay the App Store fee through Google Play or the Apple App Store. That if you were to open Netflix on the Apple App Store and then sign up with your credit card through the app on the App Store, or use your payment information through the App Store, Apple takes 30%. I did not know this. Netflix is testing in certain countries and markets, sending you to a separate website to pay that same amount of money so they can get that whole amount of money. Spotify does something similar where they'll send you away to Safari to put in your bank information versus using iTunes.
Yeah.
I believe it's 30% and then 15% of every recurring purchase.
Interesting. I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either, but like this is a huge...
Is Netflix big enough to work around it, basically?
Pretty much.
Can they pull their traffic, enough of their traffic away from the app
Or at
store?
least try to. And I think also Spotify likes to charge less if you go on the website versus through the app. Because if you're
that's
going
that.
through the app, they're going to take 15, they're going to take 30% the first time, then 15% in
So they
perpetuity.
have to charge more. Yeah.
So like a lot of big apps have to really band together to actually fight the App Store. Good luck. Fighting the App Store is like fighting City Hall.
Fight the good fight.
And last but not least, the one I did not do enough reading on, it's, I believe, Drew Barrymore and David Spade.
Norm Macdonald?
Norm Macdonald, is that? Yep, then never mind. I swear David Spade was involved in that. I had it loaded, and now it's not loading on the... There we go. Norm Macdonald has a show, gets a Netflix premiere date. Drew Barrymore, David Spade among celebrity guests. There we go.
So it's like a talk show that Norm Macdonald basically is getting a talk show with celebrity guests. So we've got another basically celebrity guest talk show, probably not in the same exact tone, but the similar vein of my next guest is, or this guest needs no introduction.
But in the vein, and I think what they've learned from their soiree in late night comedy with Chelsea Handler, Joel McHale, or Michelle Wolf, is that anything topical isn't really going to play well on their platform.
Got it.
So I think what they're learning is with this show is like Drew Barrymore sitting down with Norm Macdonald is is fairly evergreen. It's not topical. It's just cool. Anyone who wants to find that will find that and watch that.
Yeah, and Norm Macdonald will bring his own brand of funny.
He will definitely bring his own we've learned it's 20 minutes and then I run out of fluidity in my words.
Well, I'm excited about this because it's 10 episodes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, 10 different guests.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it.
I'm really excited for this too. I really like Norm Macdonald. I'm curious how good an interviewer he'd be because sometimes he doesn't seem to care about everyone around him. Like
I think he cares. He's just got that funny, that like swarmy humor kind of type.
Yeah. I think he'd be great with a good producer who just kind of tells him what the topics are if he doesn't already know. Like I'm sure most of these 10 people will be like great friends. I'm sure one of them will be Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, great. I'll watch it.
I mean, that'd be fun.
That would be great.
I mean, just Drew Barrymore alone, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that's how I watch those shows, those interviews. I pick based on the guest, which episode I watch.
Yeah.
I don't watch the whole series. I watch like, oh, this is an episode with, Amy Schumer. I'm going to watch that one.
Of course.
That's how I watch them.
So, speaking of watching stuff, you guys have watched us, and it's time to head on out.
Do we want to talk about what's coming up next week for
Oh,
viewers?
I'm sorry. See, what
We're
happened?
here to tell you top 3, yeah? For next week?
Yes, top 3 for next week, and I'm sorry. Top 3 for next week. Number 3, we have got the comedy lineup part 2.
Comedy lineup part 2, okay.
Comedy lineup part 1 I spoke about while we were here. Very great, a lot of up-and-coming comedians. Comedy lineup part 2, same business.
Nice.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Looking good.
Number 2, it is forking awesome.
It is forking
It'll
awesome.
be this week. It is season 2 of The Good Place.
All right.
No spoilers in the comments, y'all. Some people have not seen season 1 of The Good Place.
I have not seen season 1 of The
It's a
Good
great
Place.
show. There are
part of
spoilers to be had. Watch it so we can all talk freely.
Awesome.
And number 1, released this week on Netflix.
Dun, dun, dun.
It is season 2 of Ozark, guys. I am on record as saying Ozark is on par with Breaking Bad as a first season. I really hope they don't let me down. I'll be here next week to talk about Ozark and whether or not it did let me down, because, I'm going to watch it all.
Awesome.
Good for you.
Tell us all about it.
We'll be here to tell all of you all about it. In the meantime, Amy Cassandra Martinez, where can the people find you?
On all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ. Thank you guys for joining us in the chat. You guys rock. Make sure to keep that conversation going down below in the comments. So follow me. I do stuff. Take pictures.
And Ashley.
Speaking of keeping the conversation going, if you want to keep the conversation going with me about what you're watching on Netflix or what you're eating or cooking, I love to talk about all that stuff as well. So find me online, all social media at Ashley on Camera, and let's talk there.
And as always, you can find me, Steve Kaufman, on Twitter almost exclusively at Steve Kaufman. That is KAUFMANN. I'm involved in 4 different YouTube channels for pro wrestlers. If you want to find out which ones, you got to go ahead and follow me. It's right there in the description, but you got to follow me to be sure. For Amy Cassandra Martinez, Ashley Cheney, I've been Steve Kaufman, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.